Thank God for you. Thank God for being here. I want to say a special thanks to my wife.
Praise God. Praise God.
God has really blessed me.
All right. All right.
And God sometimes bless you when you don't even deserve it. The reason I want to thank God for my wife this morning, especially because I graduated with my master's degree. And I don't think I would have made it
All right.
without her.
That's right. That's right.
So if I was able, honey, I would give you an honorary degree.
All right
Because you helped me as much as anybody could help me complete that. So I want to publicly acknowledge all the time you check my papers.
All right.
All the time you listen to me
Yes.
and allow me to study.
That's beautiful. Yes.
Thank you. Amen. I have one more thing before I get my message. I thank God for my son on May the 24th. He had a birthday. But a year ago, he tried to kill himself. So I thank God that God has protected him
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
and have changed his mind.
Thank you, God.
So once again, I'm saying we serve an awesome.
Hallelujah. Yes. Yes. Awesome.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
As I listen to the testimonies, and as I begin to pray and ask God, what would you have me to say? God have a destiny for each one of us.
Amen. That's right.
Let me say that again. God had a plan
Yes.
and purpose
Yes.
for each one of us.
Yes.
Now, I need to tell you this. His plan and his purpose is not a straight line. I wish that his plan was from A to B.
Yes.
But many times, as Dr. Evans said, there's detours.
Yes. Of course.
So let's understand why God allowed detours in our life.
All right. Say a word.
This morning, if you would stand and we turn to the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter 45. Genesis chapter 45. The book of beginnings. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Genesis chapter 45. And I'm going to begin in reading at the first verse. Then Joseph could not restrain himself before all those who stood by him. And he cried out, "Make everyone go out from me." So no one stood with him, while Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Does my father still live?" But his brothers could not answer him, for they was dismayed in his presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, "Please come near to me." So they came near. Then he said, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But now, do not therefore be grievous or angry with yourself, because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve my life." May the Lord have a blessing to the reading and the hearing of his holy word. You may be seated. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Just for a few minutes, I want to talk about learning from your past without getting stuck in your past. Let me say that again. Learning from your past so that you don't get stuck in your past.
All right.
You know, if you don't learn from your past,
Yeah, come on now.
you're going to get stuck in your past.
Yeah, right.
You won't go forward. And God wants us to continue to go forward,
That's
to
right.
move forward.
Yes.
Amen?
Yes.
This is true in life. This is also true in relationships.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
This is true in our relationship with God, and it's true in our relationship with one another. God don't want us to stop growing, stop going forward.
Yes.
How many know that God is an awesome God?
Amen. Amen.
He can take your past, the good and the ugly. Can I say that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
The good and the bad, and use it for His glory. We see this in the life of Joseph. Joseph was hated by his brothers. But Joseph did not hate his brothers. Let me say that again. Joseph's brothers was envy of him, but he did not let their attitude, their thinking of him, cause him to have the same attitude about them.
Right. Yes.
That's maturity.
Amen. You're right.
When you cannot let someone else's action and attitude stop you from being who God has called you to be.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes when people get angry at me, my tendency is to give back what they give me. And God is teaching me that I want you to love those even when they're talking about you.
Yes. Yes. That's good. That's good, Pastor.
Joseph was hated by his brothers. He did not hate his brothers. Church, if you don't know, you're going to have some people. And may I say, even in your own family, that hate you. But the good news is that you do not have to let their hate become your hate.
That's right.
Joseph's brothers hated him. And you may be wondering, why did his brothers hate him? There's two reasons the Bible tells us why his brothers hated him. One, because his father showed favoritism to him. Each individual is unique, different.
Right. Right.
I heard someone say their daughter is not like their son.
Right. Right. Watch out, preacher. Watch out. Right.
Each one of us needs to be loved in our own special way.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? Lord help me, I'm telling on myself. I have two daughters. And my baby girl, we seem to connect better than my oldest daughter. I love them the same or equal. But their needs are different, and I can't meet the needs of one the same way I meet the needs of others.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
And you know your needs change.
Oh, yes.
And sometimes you have to learn how to adjust to meet the needs of the person you love, because their needs at one time is different than what they was before.
That's right. That's right. In the house.
Hallelujah. Telling the truth.
Joseph was favored by his father. And I guess the lesson we can learn that make sure that we don't make our children or those who we love, that we favor one over the other, even though we have to learn how to love each one individually. Amen?
Amen.
But each of our children, or each one in our relationship, should know that they are loved and accepted just the way they are.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Another reason his brothers hated him, because he recognized very early that God had a plan and purpose for his life.
Yes.
Everybody's not going to be celebrate you because you finished high school, because you finished college, because you want to get off the streets. You want to do something with your life.
Hallelujah.
He was a dreamer. His first dream, God calling upon him, God revealed his purpose to Joseph through dreams. His first dream, there was binding sheep in the field. And then behold, my sheep arose and also stood upright, and indeed your sheep stood all around and bowed down by my sheep. He had another dream that the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowed down to him. Joseph knew that God had a plan for his life. Joseph's brothers became more envious about after hearing his dreams. Sometimes you have to be careful who you share your dream with. Amen?
Amen. You're right.
Even in your family. All right? They became envious the more because he was telling them, God have a purpose for me. God have a plan for me. And I don't know all the details, but I know God is calling me. God have his hand upon me. And I hope that everyone here know that God have a purpose and plan. Your plan may not look like my plan, but be assured that I know the plans that I have for you. The plan to not harm you, but to do good and give you a hope and give you a future.
Yes.
Thank you for reading the scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. I know I quoted it roughly there. But I want us to understand that God wants us to learn from our past so that we don't get stuck in our past. Envy can lead to murder. Now, you can never pull a gun and still kill somebody. Did y'all know that? James talks about you can kill a person with your tongue.
Amen. Right.
So I have to be careful
Talk about it.
with what I say about one another with my tongue. Because once words go out,
My God.
you can apologize,
That's right.
but sometimes the scar
Jesus.
is still there.
Yes. Jacob
his father, Joseph's father, sent him to check on his brothers in Dothan. And when they saw him from afar, they conspired against him to kill him. God had another plan. Reuben, his elder brother, the firstborn of Jacob, says, let us not shed blood, but put him in a pit. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like to be put in a pit. All right? But sometimes God's plan calls for me to be in places that is not comfortable, that I prefer not to be in. Sometimes He allows me to interact with people that bring out the good in me, but also people that bring out the worst in me, okay? They put him in a pit. And that was part of God's plan for Joseph. So don't think that every bad thing that happens to you is done because of the devil. Okay?
Giving too much credit.
Preach. That's right.
Help me, Holy Ghost. Help me, Holy Ghost. But God was still watching out for Joseph because in the pit there was no water. Now just imagine if there was water in the pit and you was put in the pit. Many people are stuck in their past because of hurt they have experienced by a family member. Wow. Can we be honest today? We have different expectations when it comes to family, right? We expect for somebody out there to mistreat us and talk about us, but we don't expect blood to talk about us, to hurt us. But I want you to understand something. Everyone have a sinful nature, a fallen nature.
Amen.
Therefore, we all are capable of hurting one another. Disappointing those we love. What I'm trying to say, understand that people have a fallen nature. They are not God. Did y'all hear that? See, God is the only one that can love you continually, even while you're acting crazy. Okay? God is self-sufficient. He don't have any needs or depend on anyone else to meet any of his needs. Everybody else have needs. And if their needs are not being met or have not been met, it's hard for them. Some people will even say impossible for them to meet your needs. And even when their needs are met, they're still subject to fall because they're not perfect. And when you understand that, then you can be more forgiving.
You're right.
Of one another when they hurt you, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, when they disappoint you. But if you think, my husband's always going to treat me right.
Wow.
My wife is always going to got my back. That's good. But reality says that sometimes you may be disappointed.
That's right.
And
us, God.
Since families are made up of all people, it's inevitable, though it's inevitable that someone in your family of origin will hurt you intentionally or unintentionally and will not be able to meet all of your needs. If there was another human being that can meet all of our needs, then that person will become God to us. And there's only room for one God.
One God.
Let me say that again. If someone can meet all of your needs other than God, then he or she becomes a God.
Yes.
And there's only one room for God.
That's right.
Last week, I read about a young man who was dealing with the pain of disappointment. Imagine graduating from college, a black man, and neither one of your parents are there to celebrate with you. This was, unfortunately, a repeated offense. He graduated from high school. They was not there. He graduated from elementary school. And they're not there. If you have, we all have our own personal story of how we've been hurt. I should hear everybody say amen. Amen. Or disappointed by a parent, a brother, a sister, another family member. We all have been hurt by someone. Acknowledge you've been hurt. You can't learn from your past if you cannot acknowledge first you've been hurt. Help me, Holy Ghost. Not only do we need to acknowledge that we have been hurt, but we also have to acknowledge that we have hurt others. Amen? Wow. If you have been hurt by your family, you are at risk of seeking to fulfill that hurt outside of the home. You gotta understand what I'm saying? When we've been hurt or our emotional needs have not been met by our family, because we have a fallen nature, we have a tendency to go look somewhere else to get that need to smooth that hurt outside of our family.
Yes.
Can I tell you a few ways of how we try to do that?
Sure.
Sometimes we try to satisfy our emotional needs or cope with the pain, hurt, and rejection by sex.
Amen. You're right.
Money.
You're right.
Things.
You're right.
Drugs.
Yes.
Drinking.
Yes.
Achievement.
Yes.
Power.
Yes.
Violence.
You're in the house.
All of these things will prevent you from moving forward and learning from your past.
Preaching good.
Admit you're hurt. Acknowledge that your way of coping is not working. May I suggest to you, it's necessary for us to review our past, to avoid being stuck. Paul says it this way: when I was a child, I thought like a child.
Yes.
I act like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Don't you know a situation looks different when you are a child than when you are an adult? Okay, you said say that? Hallelujah. When you are a child, you adult and still think and act like a child. How many know that how you view a situation as a child, you would not view that same situation the same way as an adult? You do know that you can be an adult and still think and act like a child. With God's help, you can reframe your story without denying the facts. If I had time to testify, Pastor, I would tell you that some things happened in my life and I denied it. I pushed it way back down because I didn't want to deal with it. I couldn't deal with it.
Come on now.
But then just time came past, and those same things that I pushed down, suppressed,
Preach it.
bumped up in my life, and they had snowball effect, and now I was forced.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God.
But when you read the life of Joseph, you would read on more than one time, God was with him. God was favoring him. So because your past takes detours, don't think that God is not with you and God is not favoring you. Even while you're taking your detour, God is still with you. God is still favoring you. God is still have a plan and purpose for your life.
Hallelujah. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
With God's help, you can reframe your story without denying the facts. But you can see them from a different perspective.
My God.
From God's perspective. Joseph did not deny the reality that his brothers hated him. He said, y'all hated me. Y'all conspired and tried to kill me, but God have gave me a different perspective how to see that what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And that's what we need to ask God to help us see from our past what your perspective is so that we don't get stuck in our past.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Joseph did not deny the reality that his brothers hated him and conspired to kill him, but he was able to see God's perspective, which enabled him to forgive. Forgive. And I hear that word and I want to substitute that word forgive to surrender.
Hallelujah. Jesus.
Forgive his brothers for the way they treated him. And he saw God working in his life. Sending him to Egypt. So he can preserve his family line. Amen?
Amen.
Look at your past. Examine it. And ask the Holy Spirit to help you. What lessons can I learn? Show me where your hand at involved in this. So that I won't get stuck in my pain, in my hurt.
That's good.
God said, Joseph in Genesis 45:5 says, do not grieve or be angry with yourself because you sold me here. For God sent me here.
Hallelujah.
God is directing my path.
Hallelujah.
I don't always like the streets he take me on. What's wrong with it? But I have to realize that God is directing my still did not believe that he had forgiven them for what they had did. His perspective was not the same as this. Do not be afraid, he says, for I am in the place of God. But as for you, you meant it evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is today, to save many people's lives. If Joseph had not been put in the pit, then sold to the Israelites, and then sold to Potiphar, and got in jail, falsely accused. Y'all do know the story of Joseph, right? He was there falsely. He interpreted two people's dreams. One died, one was restored to his position, and he said, I want you to remember, even though he was in charge, he still wanted to be out of the prison. So sometimes we can be in a comfortable place and still want to be out of that place.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Okay? He was in prison, and God showed him favor, and he was in charge. But he says, I want you to remember me when you get back to your position, and tell the king, tell somebody, hoping that they will release him from prison. Even though he was in charge, sometimes God put us in comfortable places and they become uncomfortable for us, or we cannot grow there anymore. Forgiveness is mandatory in learning from our past. Without getting stuck, before you can forgive, you must be willing to admit that you have been hurt. Amen. Do you agree that the past, now I hope you understand this, I'm the man I am today because of my past. The good and the bad. God has used all of it so that I can be the servant that He called me. Don't look at your past and say, it did not contribute to my growth and my maturity. Please ask God to open your eyes so you can see how your past, the good and the bad. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Can I just testify one more time? When my daughter was 15 years old, she called me and said, Daddy, I'm pregnant. And that was a hard pill to swallow. But God gave me and her the strength. And God continued to be faithful to us. And now, I know y'all going to be surprised. I'm a proud grandfather too. And I wouldn't trade that experience for nothing. But when I heard the news, I had a different perspective.
That's all right, Pastor.
And God had to help me reframe my perspective so I can accept and know that God still have a plan and purpose for her life. Her life was not finished.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Learn from your past so that you don't get stuck in your past. That means admitting that you have a family that have a fallen nature. Admitting that there's the possibility if you have not been hurt, but I doubt that. I'm disappointed.
Right.
But forgive them.
Amen.
And ask God to show you how He's using it
Yes, Lord.
to help you trust Him and depend on Him. Andrew Crouch sung that song, "If I never had any problems, I wouldn't know what God could do." But through it all, I learned to trust in Jesus.
Amen.